Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Challenge 41 Wrap Up Podcast for episode 3. I am Brian Cohen. With me, as always, is my co-host, Ali Lasher. How are you?
We're giving summer sherbet today, Brian. Two
Yeah,
of us.
summer's almost over, sort of. Middle of August. Labor Day is very early this year. I don't know. Yeah, let's embrace the coral colors for as long as we can.
Hot take. The best. Well, actually, for you, probably this is your last best month of summer. But the best month of summer, if you don't have school age kids, is September, or you're not school age
Totally.
yourself. So, like, summer's almost over. Can't relate. Couldn't be me. We're just like
Yeah, I
getting
think.
started.
Yeah, but also like in the corporate world, August is very slow. Back half of August, so September is very busy. So there's a little
Someone
balancing act there.
call my office and tell them that because it's not coming through.
You know what's also not coming through? The importance and significance of anything that happened this week, because this could have been, unfortunately, an email if only they had quicker MRI results out in Chile.
Yeah, Maybe it's like August is slow. They got that message on MTV. No, it's such a shame because I do feel like we have been on like sort of a steady decline of the episode. I was hoping you'd come in like high on this episode. I will say a lot of work needed to be done. A lot of numbers had to be processed. A lot of information we did not receive. I was out here with my calculator doing the maths, to shout out to our British friends, like doing the maths that I don't normally like to do. So like there's stuff to discuss more like,
of course.
Okay, we flipped back to an A week. We have to talk about how this all shook out. But it felt like a little bit more labor and a little less fun, which is never great.
Yeah, I mean, it's still it's classic challenge. We shouldn't be surprised here we are in episode 3 being like, all right, we got more of the format. We know how it's gonna go. So that's fun. But yeah, I mean, look, the episode was good. And as we were going through, and they kept putting off these famous MRI results that take, many days to get sorted out. I wanted to be invested in it, but I also didn't know if I should be, because I figured we were gonna get to elimination and Nia was gonna go. And it was going to be like all for naught. And that's kind of what happened. I do think there's going to be things here that do have a snowballing effect going forward to next week and the weeks after for sure. But it just stinks that none of them had any sort of punchline for this week.
You know what's so funny is that as I texted you, I like ran out of content and didn't want to jump in on Summer I Turned to Pretty or whatever it is. So I like randomly went back and started watching Challenge Free Agents and now just ate that right up. Yum, yum, yum. It was so quick. I went to What's Next, Battle of the Exes 2. And it's so crazy because now like I can't rewatch a challenge because like my brain is broken on like which season is like current, what happened. And, I just watched Kara have a similar reaction as Nia of like, I don't want to check out my hand because then I like might have to leave and I don't want to leave. Nia giving kind of the same energy of like, I don't want to get an MRI because I'm afraid of what they'll tell me.
And it's still the type of thing where it's amazing they have any say in the matter. Like, I guess in like other shows, there's like sort of a degree of like on Survivor, you can wait to call medical, but I don't know, if your knee's busted and you can't compete, I feel like it should be out of your hands. I guess that's where it got to the point of like the show being like, all right, now you come do the MRI. Same thing for Kara, I guess, at that point. But it's the type of thing that it shouldn't really be there. The player's decision making, like, should I risk my future life being, or should the show step in?
Yeah, I think on Free Agents it wasn't Kara's choice because she like actively was trying to refuse the treatment. But yeah, I think it is hard with something like Nia's knee injury, almost similar to like Derek's ACL tear, or like, your pain is subjective and only visible to like the extent that you express it. So like there are people when I used to do gymnastics like who competed on torn meniscus, how do you pluralize menisci, and like other knee injuries that obviously like aggravated them and made them so much worse, but they're, like toxic culture is just like, well, I could play through the pain, I could pop an Advil, whatever. So we also don't find out what happened to Nia's knee. I'm sure in the week ahead we'll hear about it. I guess I shouldn't be sure. I would imagine Nia's shared things from her health journey before. Respect the the HIPAA compliant, non-disclosing Nia's medical diagnosis, but we just hear she cannot compete. Maybe it wasn't even her knee. Maybe they pulled her for an edited reason. No, I'm just kidding. It's obviously her knee, but
yeah, and it just thinks that. I mean, of course, you could put the tinfoil hat on. Like, was this really? Were they always planning to make it a Women's Day with the A and B weeks? It seemed likely. It sure made it a lot easier to do it. And then to pull Nia, how late did they really have the MRI results? Could they have just pulled Nia right away and just like jump straight to another men's week with the hanging chat? I don't know. It leaves a lot to be questioned, but it just stinks to have like a full flushed out episode with a lot of moving pieces, people trying to make moves, people making some interesting decisions, but then it just, pulls the cord and hey, you know what? America, want to know.
So I think like the response to the tinfoil hat for me is why? There's no to me benefit. This is the worst case scenario. I'd rather them disqualify her, eliminate her immediately because the MRI came back immediately, and then go through a whole fake game and get 2 people into the elimination, a la the Kara nipple clamps electricity episode, and then be like, just kidding, there's no elimination, everyone's staying, and have a wasted week. Now, undoubtedly, I would come complain about that.
Sure.
But it would be certainly better for the show than every time there's a challenge, TJ's like, we're still waiting on those results, team. To me, it's not like good TV to do what they did. It's not. I think it's probably the worst version they could have had. So I believe that medical results take more than 4 hours or 5 hours to come back. And, in terms of the editing, Gabe kind of accuses Nia of only getting the MRI because they have the confrontation. So I think the order of events we were shown isn't even accurate. I think she got the MRI after that fight with Gabe, even closer to the daily than it was made to look like on TV. So
yeah,
I believe the series of events here. I think production was probably annoyed by it as much as the viewers would be.
Probably. I hope so. Probably. Because it did stink. It did stink. At least I'll give them credit. They obviously would have had some time at the end of it. They saved some time next week. They did the selection here. So, next week you can kind of jump right in. So kudos for them for, saving that extra 2.5 minutes to next week's episode.
So I want to talk about the matchups, but starting with the matchup that started this episode, that put the star-crossed non-lovers, Nia and Gabe, together. I think something's afoot with the matchups. I think we're taking a little bit of a page from Are You the One? Because certainly they must be giving a list of priority picks before they go. And then they're told, so sorry, let me just step back. I'm too excited by how I'm accusing them of doing this.
Yeah, I'm so curious of this revelation. I don't know where we're going.
So there's just too much that can go wrong. I know we talked about what's going to happen when there's no, someone of the opposite stripe to pick. But even here, even if we just use the example of Olivia picks Justin third and we get a confessional of she's like, you know what, first overall, he's really the first overall pick for the new threat men. And I'm not saying that it wasn't a wise pick. We do get the confessional of Olivia explaining this of why she believes in Justin. But by the time we get to the end, Sydney is Nia can only pick between Ben and Gabe. And she says, Ben and I were just paired up, so I have to pick Gabe. What if Olivia had picked, say, Gabe and not Justin? What would Nia do? Because Nia was with both Justin and Ben already. So there's just only so many permutations of this works, even if the only rule is you just can't be with the person you last picked. So I guess maybe she could have picked Justin. I just think there's too many things. And the order of picks is too sus. I'm sorry. Don't think Olivia would just pick Justin first overall. So I suspect that they have to submit a top 2 picks to production. And then much like Are You the One in the matchups, the order you pick is if your first pick overall is available, you have to pick them. And if they're not, and that's how they do the order. I mean, that doesn't really explain the Olivia and Justin. I just think there's too I'm going to get like so hate for being like explaining this in the worst way possible and everyone's going to say I'm wrong, but I just think there's too much up to chance for them to just have like unmitigated selection throughout.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of specifics with that. Like, there's a lot of people on this cast, but how they pair them up, there's not that many to like your overall point. It's like, yeah, there's 15 pairs, right? But there's like 4 segments of people, and you can only cross over with one group. So there's really only like 6 or 7 people everyone could potentially choose. And here we are 3 weeks in, so you're already halfway done. So to your point, if it kind of goes out of order, you can't pick anyone. So I wonder if like the order of operations to a degree is like the first thing you can't do is you can't pick someone. If you're a vet, you can't pick a vet. Or I guess the first thing you can't pick someone of the same gender. Then you can't pick someone who's also a vet. And then you can't pick someone that you've already partnered with. And like if you get stuck, you back up the order. So it's like if you get stuck, all right, you can pick someone who you've already been partnered with. If you get stuck, you can pick someone of the same stripe. I would assume that's how it goes. Otherwise, if this is all for sham and they're really not making it picks, then like your earlier question, like for what? Like what are we doing? Then just bring out the freaking the bells and the whistles and just randomly put them together. Then why even go through the sham of making selections?
I think they're legitimately making the picks. I just think, again, like in Are You the One, they were legitimately making the picks, but they gave a top 3 to producers. Like maybe it's not that regimented. Oh yeah, that was like well known. Is that like that's how they could always control if they got a perfect match, like if they would black out or not, because they like would submit their top 3 picks and then the order would be determined by production, like whoever the host was at the time would like.
So they would try to back into a blackout production.
No, I don't know like how they decided it, but it's like the only way you could guarantee that you'd have enough episodes.
Right.
I mean, Are You the One people have said they submit a top 3 beforehand, and then you have to pick if your top 1 is available and you get picked, you pick them, and then if not, you go to your second person. I mean, Here, the order is determined by your finish in the challenge. So I got too excited. Like, I'm not saying it's a perfect system. I just don't think you can send people out and let them pick, and it just so happens to work out. The other interesting thing is, and don't get used to this, but I did listen to Rogan and Bananas' podcast this week. I think Bananas says on the podcast that the only restriction they had is you can't pick the same person you were just with. Okay. Now, it does so happen that looking at the picks in episodes 1 and 2, and then including the picks at the beginning of this episode and the end of this episode, so 3 and 4, nobody has matched up with the same person twice, even if they would be permitted to do so. So I don't know. Again, like we'll have to investigate in episodes 5 and 6. It will be very, like you said, something to monitor. It'll be very interesting. I would almost have expected like 2 people to try to like flip back and forth, like work in a group of 4, like Izzy, Theo, Olivia, and Cedric or something. I don't know. Wouldn't work like that. They'd have to get a group of 8, but whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. What's so frustrating almost about it is like, because the partners change every week, it's like, why are they going through all this effort to make all these rules about the partners when it's so quickly going to change, and like half the time it doesn't almost really matter who your partner is because like one half of you can't even go in. So yeah, it's so interesting that they're making so many of these rules and stuff about something that it's like very Jordan Kalish. Like let's make this as overly complicated as we can for like a 1-round thing. But
and then even like the Sydney pick, this is the other thing. So Sydney had to pick between Derek C and Derek K, were the only 2 people available. And Sydney, and then it would be Tay getting the resulting person or the leftover person. If Sydney picks Derek K, what's their plan? Tay is stuck with Derek C. So again, like they, Sydney had no prohibition on picking Derek K and Derek C. So like, we're to believe that just perfectly she picked Derek C and that's who she wanted over Derek K. I'm not saying it's impossible. It just doesn't. They just have to have a plan. I'd like to know what that plan was and is.
Do you think there's anything to, obviously Gabe takes it on a strong odd turn, but so his original gripe was he doesn't like being picked last all the time. Is there anything to that? Like, who cares where you, in my head, it's like, who cares what order you're picked in? Like, if anything, sure, be lower on the threat level compared to someone like Jeremy. Is there anything to his, like, initial upsetness of being picked so late?
I mean, I can understand being upset when you're picked last. Again, going to my free agents rewatch. Like, Preston was picked last every single week. Like, that was so depressing for him. Like, that sucked. I think, to your point, like, it doesn't feel that like the impact of that is not felt here when half the time, if you just finish better, you'd be making a choice. And I think that's what happened to Gabe last week is he picked his own partner. So A, just finish better and you won't have to get picked. B, like you only half the people are choosing between half the people, like are even eligible to pick you. So it's not really that personal. You're not being picked last overall. And I just don't even understand the narrative that he gets picked last because I looked back in the notes and like he wasn't picked last. So I don't understand.
So he's very short-term memory focused. Unless it really was just like he doesn't want to be with Nia, which look, if you're worried about it being a men's day potentially and your partner can't really walk, like sure, there's reasons to be a little concerned about that.
Only 3 new threat men were picked before him. 3 new threat men were making picks. So again, it's like, okay, you were picked 4th actually
Right.
from everybody left. But yeah, let's talk about the Nia and Gabe thing because that really took up the episode. I will say when Nia and Gabe eventually have a confrontation and Gabe's response is, I didn't say you were terrible. I didn't say what you overheard, right? She overhears Jeremy saying that she's a weak competitor. Her cardio is shit. I went back to the initial clip we saw of Gabe talking shit because I was like, hold on, well, like what really happened? And I will say the editing is a little bit weird. Like there is an obvious cut from Gabe talking about like I whatever. Like he's now I like can't even find in my notes where all of this is. But he basically says he reports saying, I didn't say anything except someone said you're a good competitor, and I was like, we might still come in last. He does start making a speech to all of the rookies saying, like, we're playing scared, we're playing too slow. And then there's like a jump cut to him saying, like, effing Nia, we might come in last. I'm scared for myself. So it is consistent with what he tells Nia. But I do believe he was complaining about her. Because she hasn't had that strong of a physical showing. Not that he has, but she like suffered on the mountain. She hasn't done super well. She doesn't have a ton of points. She only has, 2 points. So,
And Nia hasn't been good in a while. I know she like really like made herself sound better with like her finals and stuff like that. But the whole thing on 40 was like she was just like part of the lounge crew and like didn't do anything and wasn't focused on like the competition and like didn't perform all that great. We've always thought like Nia, like I always thought Nia's kind of been like more of a disappointing physical competitor given her size. So it's not like she makes herself, I feel like, sound a little bit better than she's actually has done. And if anything, she's getting worse and worse as the seasons go along. So I can understand the worry about being partnered with Nia. I don't think it's great for Gabe as a rookie to be talking crap about her. As Nia points out, like, what have you done in this game? Like, literally nothing. So Gabe might also just stink. Like, we don't really know yet. So it's not really, he has no, this isn't, CT or even like someone like Jeremy even talking, who's like at least shown like some major physical standing. So I could understand it, but I could also, I kind of get both sides a little bit. But Gabe probably shouldn't like talk shit about not saving that for the confessionals.
It's a bad look, as Nia later explains, in one of the great dress downs in challenge history. Like, kudos to Nia to how she handled this. Like, it seemed like they had the conversation after Derek's birthday party, and she just like handled her business. She didn't get upset. Like, I would probably have been screaming. Like, she really just dressed him the F down, and he deserved every bit of what she had to give on that. And like to her point, like Gabe only has 1 more point than Nia. He hasn't done some like tremendous showing either. And I think production had the same thought because like as I was thinking this, they flashed to the points allocation on the walls. Like in case you forgot, like 3 and 2 points. I would have been completely upset. And to what Nia said is so true. Like you're just so dumb because you don't understand the format of this game, long term, the relationships you'll need. If it's a men's day, you'll need me to like work for you and I could give a shit about you now. So like on a personal level and from a game level, it was just absolutely stupid of Gabe. And I think he was just getting a little bit bored, honestly. Like I think he like, it felt like adrenaline's like you haven't been able to like really make your mark or make any moves in the game, and now you're just like, oh, now I'm not going to again because I don't have whoever he thinks the strongest, most connected partner is.
Totally. No, but I totally agree about how Nia handled it. Like this, we've come a long way from Hurricane Nia back in Portland. So like this is a much more mature, able to have like much more straightforward conversations. Like Nia back in the day, this probably would have taken a hard right. So here, yeah, she gives her points saliently, and goes about her business.
Now, respectfully, I want to say to Gabe's theory that Nia got an MRI just to sabotage him is the worst tinfoil hat. I mean, it's like beeswax reusable, that paper that you can use to be environmentally friendly. It is the worst tinfoil hat of all time. Terrible confessional from Gabe saying that.
Yeah, I don't know what I don't know about the upside for Nia to choose that time. But yeah, that's crazy. I mean, look, when you're in the dark place and you're letting your mind spiral, who knows? That also could have been a production lead up. Like, well, Gabe, do you think Nia timed her MRI to do it like this? Well, I don't know. Maybe Nia did time her MRI cut, and then it just like used that as a confessional. So it's so bad. I'll give Gabe the benefit of that this was very much production fed. And I'll try to leave it at that.
More fun happenings. Derek C's birthday darty. It looked like such a fun barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
It did stand out to me while everyone was having so much fun with their phallic pinata and their birthday Speedos that like we have totally erased the Will D bananas fiasco from memory, as I think we thought they would, because they did like give Will the stinger of like, and now I'm okay with what happened, whatever last week.
Yeah, I was very surprised by that.
No issue with Derek and Leo after the drink gate.
Yeah, it's they bring up these problems, and maybe they'll come back into play when one of these people is more up for a vote, and it'll matter. Or they're just showing some drama that happens and it means nothing. And if that's the case, honestly, I'm fine with it. Like, I'd rather see these things play out and it makes it more a funny episode of television. Like, I don't need to see more of a daily and not see, Derek and Leo fighting over a 2-for-1 special. So I'm glad they include that, even if it eventually means nothing. Good on the producers for adding more lighthearted stuff that might not have any significance all gameplay wise.
Yeah, we didn't get to see, track week to week if Will's like blow up caused any like reservation in picking him, because he was the first new threat man, Newdom, to make a selection. So we didn't get to see if there was any fallout. And then Leo also got to make his own pick sort of lower down in the bunch, but I don't think he would have been like such a high ranking pick in any case. One thing I do have to say, and I feel bad for Will in this case, I think production is trying to make him look like certified lover boy. Like when they gave him that Nani edit, he picks Nani and then they do a confessional and he's like, it did read like you were saying, production be like, would you say Nani is good looking? And he was like, I would say Nani is definitely one of the pretty girls in the house. And then they give like a hard eyes edit around him. I'm like, okay, I don't know that he was like, jumping to every single woman on the show, but we'll see what happens.
I also liked he had I guess he was asked like, what do you like about Nani as a partner? And he was like, well, I like that she's a vet. well, that's 100% going to be your partner all the way through. They will all be vets. So you got that covered for you. So that was good. But we have to go back to Carlo's roast.
Please.
I genuinely laughed at every single roast that she did. I think they left some on the cutting room floor because I think she did one of Will that they kind of cut because it was like a weird edit after one of them where they were all patting him on the shoulder and he like raised his ass. So I think there was a clear roast of him. I'm sure she roasted almost everyone, but the roast she did were very, very funny. The one of Derek, talking about how he's almost 40, 4-0, 0, like the number of points you have. Well done. The joke that I think is now, I feel like I don't know who's, I thought we started this, but I guess maybe we didn't, about CT just waking up for the final, and they bring that into the damn episode. You're close to a final when CT's jawline appears. Anissa getting the retirement home to pay her to go there. Fantastic. I guess that was it. Those were the three. I thought there was a fourth, but no, they're all great. They're all great.
It was excellent. At first, I was thrown because she's introducing a new drag character, Carlo Murillo. What happened to Carl? I don't know if like her and Tori are on terrible terms, so she broke up Carl and Dave.
Could be.
But um, it also made me feel so stupid because I was like, what was her old drag persona? And I was like, Cara Maria drag, Dave, Tori, Cara Maria drag. And then I was like, it was literally Carl. It was right there. Like how I couldn't remember that. Yeah, I thought this was great. I was ready to cringe as I often am when they do like birthday party entertainment in the challenge house. This was the best by far that I've seen, including like when they've had girls be like strippers and guys be like strippers. This was pound for pound the best entertainment they've ever provided, I think, in the house. Shout out to Carlo Murillo. Very confusing confessional they put in as a stinger from Michaela being like, crazy. Cara has no idea what's going on in this game after she just made the 3 most like on point jokes of all time.
Right. I again, I'm going to give benefit of the doubt. I'm going to believe that this confessional was like in a different week. And for some reason,
I'm criticizing it as an edit.
It's crazy. It's just one of the more unbelievable confessionals. It makes no sense. I don't recall a time that Michaela and Cara have talked, let alone conflicted, let alone done anything, that this would be a confession that Michaela was giving. It makes no sense, especially coming off, unless they thought the roast was going to be a flop, and they were like, oh, let's just poke fun at Cara. But the roast was great. So, I don't know. Just weird editing, weird choices all around.
Yeah, I agree. That felt very Franken-clipped, not for even Franken-bite, Franken-clipped from like another thing. And like, I do get a sense that Cara has no idea what's going on in the house from like the little, random fights she's had during the like vote, the last vote, or when did she get upset? She like started like talking in one of the last 2 deliberations about like the votes people were casting. So I do think Car is probably on the out. Obviously, like the whole house almost voted for her and Jake, with the exception of her like close allies. So yeah, I'm sure Michaela said that in a time where it made sense. It did not make sense after probably one of Cara's best moments in the last few seasons on the challenge.
100% agree. This is one of the most likable moment maybe in Cara's history, at least going back to like her early days of feuding with Laura when she was like the clear pro person. And it's just crazy that they tried to turn around the roast on her. But kudos to Carlo. That was great.
Another like good likable moment from Cedric where he's like pretending to not know how to swim to reduce his threat level. I thought this was like a cute little moment of like, I'm negatively buoyant.
This has been my thing. Do the rope-a-dope. Next time I need someone to do it in an elimination with the fake that have bad endurance, and all of a sudden, oh well, we're not too like Jeremy needs to do that. Get an elimination and like be huffing and puffing after you win. Be like, oh, we can't really worry about Jeremy. He has no endurance. Oh, we don't have to worry about Cedric. He can't swim. But the problem is, 5 minutes later, he schools the ball swimming. Cedric, come on, man. You got to at least keep up the facade a little bit. You had them.
Yeah, I mean, that would be so interesting if he like throws this challenge on purpose, or I forget who is paired up with now.
You don't have to throw it, but just like, don't do great. Be like mediocre to bad, struggle. Be like America. Swim to the freaking wrong continent and like, swim back or something. I don't know. Do something.
Yeah, he was partnered with Michaela, so I don't know if between them, like, if Michaela didn't want to do the plunge part. But I think, yeah, if your plan is to fake that you don't know how to swim, you can't be the one taking on the bulk of the swimming. And it was perfectly timed. If you could convince your partner to do the swimming climbing portion, you could swim pretty terribly to the puzzle and still do fine to like pick up some points.
There also was probably are we jumping to the daily? Can we get to the daily and just like
sure, swim on over.
All right, nicely done. Let's get to the daily right after this. All right, daily water tower.
Oh my god, this is like our 4th recording. The first time we threw it to commercial.
First time I did it. I know it's bad. It's first time.
God, you're not bad. I forgot it was even supposed to be done.
Oh, it's here. Water tower pairs. One person swims to a platform to do a puzzle. The other person climbs a rock wall, jumps into a giant water tower type structure, swims underneath it, and then swims to the puzzle, bringing a flag with them, and then finish the puzzle. Time stops. Before that, so we do set up the Nia MRI thing. She's deemed medically unfit to continue. What I do like, I will give them credit for, is to keep the suspense about what day it is. It will two things. To keep everyone competing, they don't say they're automatically last, so they're going in. And they don't say which gender is going in. So I do like that they kept both of those in suspense to force all the teams to all the players to give their full all, not knowing if they could just automatically be going in.
So I guess I'm going to say something that goes for and against your tinfoil hat at the beginning about like, did they know this the whole time? Because I don't think they made it that the fact that it happened to be a women's elimination is any indication that it was, rigged or whatever. Because the show only succeeds if they do, like we discussed last week, man, woman, woman, man, man, woman, woman, or you're always having the same gender hangnail, you're always having the same whatever. So I think it had to be a girls' day regardless for this to be successful. And now I think it'll be interesting to see as they anticipate knowing next week, the next 2 weeks, I guess will be male elimination days, how that like changes the picks and the results. We already saw it here. Obviously, they're talking about the, bananas hang now. But on the flip side, in the event that Nia was cleared on the MRI to compete, and we found that out at the elimination, then I think it is BS that they were not given the opportunity to compete. It works in the daily. It works out later that like, well, they would have been eliminated anyway, and Gabe would have always been the hangnail and whatever. I just think you cannot deem someone last place automatically going into elimination because you were not sure if they were injured. Like delay film. I don't know. Like obviously it doesn't matter. It's a TV show. It's not about fairness. It just feels wrong to me. And very interestingly, I think it's fascinating that they kept in the edit Gabe saying, I could have done this on my own. They should have let me run it alone. And I totally agree with him that Gabe should have been allowed to swim out to the tower, swim down, swim to the puzzle, and complete the puzzle himself. It objectively would have been a disadvantage. And I think he was unfairly robbed of that opportunity.
Yes, 100% agree. There's not many dailies where if you're down to your partner, you can do it. This was 100% one of them that you could. So they absolutely should have just let him do it. The only tinfoil hat brigade would be if this was a men's day and they, like, your random partner can't compete. And now Gabe is like, automatically going in for something that her partner, like, he's just with. Like, I think that's also, like, you were up in arms about that. At least I would be. Like if you're automatically going in because your partner is deemed medically unfit to compete, but then you're the one going into elimination, it is very bad. Especially that she's able to stay, but she wasn't. But regardless, like I think that would be very bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of what happened to Rogan. Like we were meant to believe in the edit, and then Rogan actually shed light on this in the Bananas podcast. That's a sentence I never thought I would say. That like Adrian actually hurt her foot way earlier on in the challenge than they showed. So, okay, you're injured, so you lose the challenge. Then it's a men's day. You have to go in. Like, I'm maybe getting carried away myself. Like the challenge has established precedent in that there is no precedent, but you do live and die by your partner, even if it is your partner for a limited run. And obviously they're very inconsistent on when they bring in a replacement and when they just send you home because your partner goes home. Who's the guy who like sexually harassed someone by snapping off their like bandana t-shirt and then Sarah had to go home? So like
Vince?
Maybe. Yeah. Or Vinny? Yeah. Great call. So it's like, there is challenge precedent that they will completely send you home. Forget making you the hanging. I almost said Chad nail. That's not right. But besides making you the hangnail or sending you into an elimination. But if I was trying to think myself of like this happened to be a challenge he could do by himself. If it was a challenge like we've seen before where you have to be tied to your partner, even if it was the ball challenge where he could have gone out and get one ball for every 2 balls the other people get, I think he shouldn't be allowed to do that himself because being tied to somebody else is a critical part of the challenge. I think if you show up to a daily and you can fairly to the other team compete alone, they should let you do it.
I
If
agree.
this challenge had a twist and the puzzle had to be done by one person and the swim had to be done by another, fine. But the fact that they let the swimmer come, and I think Cedric even beats his partner to the puzzle after doing the tower part of it. So justice for Gabe in this very limited sense.
Yep. No, I agree. And then to your original point, it is wild that they kept this in. They even kept in a
Yeah.
rule about like helping each other out. Like, so I think someone asked Nani, like, "Oh, can they help out in the puzzle?" And she was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, they can." It's like, okay, well, thanks for that clarification that I don't really need, but sure, thank you.
Here's the interesting part. Let's say Gabe does well enough to not go into elimination. In this case, where multiple people got DQ'd, he would have just had to finish, which he could have done on his
I
own.
also would. What do you think the rule was for like? Is it who DQs first? Like who goes the
I
furthest?
hate
This was
this
one of
at,
those
yeah.
where it's like they really got lucky because it was so convoluted as to who actually would have finished last. We don't even get. I don't think they even flashed it. Who finished? They just said who are the top 8. We didn't even get to see who the 1 through 8. I don't think.
Yeah, that's why
But
I had to pause on the points board and subtract the points I already knew they had to figure out. So I will be able to tell you the order they finished, but they did make it difficult for us.
I don't know why they
Yeah,
couldn't just
my
flash that on the screen. Also, just do a quick like 1 through 8 to who they are. But even regardless, I
100%.
don't know how they would have decided who finished last. I guess it probably would have been who climbed up the wall the least. I think.
Right. Whoever climbed the least in the longest amount of time. I mean, they've judged challenges like this before where people have DQ'd and it's like,
But it's still
well,
a mess.
it's still a mess, but they could have done it. But my question is, if they let Gabe compete and he wasn't in the bottom, and let's say they don't get voted in to elimination. So you have 2 other teams competing in the elimination, 2 other women, and then they find out that Nia has to go home. Then probably they would have made Gabe the hangnail anyway, just by consequence. They would have not had the elimination and made him the hangnail. So again, it really only would have been a problem if they held her for this challenge and then found out that she was fine to compete.
Yeah, all roads. Once Nia went for that MRI, all roads were Nia goes home, Gabe's the hangnail. Literally, no matter what. I guess the only exception could have been, which would have been wild, if they had won. Not even just like not finished last. What if they had won the damn thing? Like, is Gabe still the hangnail? That would have been crazy. But
Well,
I
yeah.
don't think it
If
would
she
happen.
was, but if she was cleared to compete, like, and let's say Gabe did this alone,
Yeah.
kept them out of the bottom, and then she was cleared to play, no impact. I mean, yeah.
Anyone else? So we see obviously we talked about Cedric doing his rope a dope. He could swim. America swims the wrong way. A bunch of people fall off the wall. Anyone else's performance? But I guess the highlight for me was, and we could get to see a follow up at the night out of Olivia just dogging her men, being like, I've heard the folklores of Theo being like this great competitor, which I think we talked about. Like, he hasn't been the same since he's come back, and she's like, I don't see that dog in him, and sure enough, falls right off the wall.
Yeah, it was a bad look for Olivia probably to dog her boyfriend like that, but she is valid. And especially when she's really coming off so well. Like she's performing really well. She's building great alliances. Granted, like some of them are built on the bonds that Theo has, but nonetheless, like she is really, as Turbo says, the alpha of the relationship.
Yeah, what a unbelievable conversation. It's amazing. Turbo is becoming like a warm, cuddly bear at this point. It's so funny.
I mean, something like that. I don't know if I'm willing to say that. When he's like, you beta, like you need to keep woman beta. You're like, I don't know about that.
So Jeremy previously, built this alliance with the rookie women. I think it was like Dee, Izzy, a couple other, like some of the other people. The Tarzan and the Janes. Brings the line back again here with Anissa. Do we think Jeremy has only seen like one cartoon in his entire life?
Yeah, it is interesting because it's like if you say it to everyone and they ever connect dots, no one will feel left out. Like now, if Anissa finds out about the Tarzan thing, she might just have the recollection of like, oh yeah, Jeremy says that all the time. Maybe it's a brilliant strategy.
It's not bad. It's kind of like that, Big Brother, speaking with the one that America was on, when Jared was with Sari, he was just going to call everyone mom. So if he screwed up and called Suri mom, I just call everyone mom. She's not my mom. I call everyone mom.
Pretty good.
But yeah, but I don't know. Maybe Tarzan was on the movie option on the plane over. It's just very odd that he just like once again goes to that line here with Anissa.
Amazing Race people chime in if this was like a thing for him then, but like you're probably not some like wilderness athlete man with long hair and not identifying with Tarzan before the plane. You know, like I feel like that's not a surprise to me that Jeremy connects with him.
It almost makes me think it's like production not asking them about the Tarzan and Jane alliance, so he thinks maybe it didn't even make air. I gotta like reuse my Tarzan and Jane thing, so let me just start over with Anissa. Like, maybe he thinks it's not even making the cut.
Yeah, definitely maybe another movie. Here's something about the rules here. So like when Ben first fell, I think Ben was actually the first person to DQ. I expected him to be able to climb up the wall again. Like it was a little confusing to me if in a timed event why you can't take a second stab at climbing up. I understand that once you jump in and you have a panic attack and you're then rescued, that you're like your time is up. But I don't know why him and Theo and a couple others who just straight up fell off the wall weren't allowed to try climbing up again.
Yeah, it's a good point. I don't know.
Not to defend Ben or anything, but
no
one other format thing that was like a conversation as they set up the daily. There is some speculation. Oh no, sorry. This is like from the night out, but in terms of the formatting, because like they do announce it's going to be a women's elimination, which sort of goes on to imply that the coin is over. This is how it's going to be. And then during the night out, they're talking about the format and they're speculating that it's going to be eventually double eliminations, that there will be a man and women eliminated each episode. Do you think that's, I don't know, Chekhov's format, or that was just like we need to fill time? Because another very strange thing to include if it's going to ultimately not happen.
I mean, they are obviously going to need to do something. They can't just do one by one. Even if at some point we're going to need to like do some sort of purge or some sort of like massive elimination. So I don't think it's the worst idea that they're speculating. I don't think that's where it's going to go. Like, I don't think it's going to be, I think there will be doubles at some point, but I don't think it's going to be part of like A week is, women hanging Chad, B week, man hanging Chad, C week double. Like, I don't think that's going to be what happens, but if that's the case, sure, why not?
Yeah, it feels more challenge-esque to do a purge or just like a true format shakeup halfway through that isn't just like a continuation of the same with double time. But, if you go to two teams, Newts versus Vets, you can have huge teams. Maybe it'll just continue to be one the whole way through.
Mm-hmm. You can.
Maybe not.
Just remember, you're not good at things until you're good at them. It's a wise one.
I really understood what she meant by that.
I did too.
So let's talk about that. So, ultimately, we find out that Justin and Olivia wins, and they'll have the very useless power to save another team, and they put useless. 8 points on the board. I don't know that it matters, so we'll do the point table, but it was Justin, Olivia, then Cedric and Michaela, then Derek, Seed, Sydney, then Anissa, Jeremy, then Nani and Will, then American Bananas, then Derek K and Tay, and then Ashley and Jake. So yay for math. But Olivia makes a comment of like, I think I've been holding myself back generally. Like, for example, like puzzles, like I view myself as bad at something, but I could get better at them. As we've seen from so many people on the challenge, like you can improve at your swimming, your puzzles, your fitness, and you shouldn't just count yourself out. I thought the edit wasn't kind to her. I thought she was like an inspirational diva.
Yeah, I agree. There was, it sounded like something I would say, trying to come up with a phrase that maybe was like you're misspeaking a little bit, but I understood exactly. It's practice makes perfect, that type of thing. Like you can't just immediately be good at things. We're not all CT doing things, so you got to just do it, and then you get better.
Then in terms of the night out, this is the part where I thought the episode was actually bad, because I think wasting strategic conversation on which team should be saved. After Leroy, burned fast and bright with his strategic proposal that then flopped Teenud. It is completely uninteresting to me who they choose, and that the fact that they tried to make a meal out of like Nia talking to Olivia and Justin as though they have any power over like who ultimately goes in, and then Izzy having a meeting with Olivia and Justin to convince Justin that it's best for his game to pick Olivia's best friend was such a waste of my time. I'm sorry. Sorry, listeners. Sorry, everyone. That was a waste.
No, I completely agree. If anyone takes anything, like, oh, you pick someone, that means you're working with them. Oh, you pick someone, you're just trying to build favor with them. It means beyond nothing. Maybe at some point later in the season when the numbers are smaller, something like this will matter. But right now, it means nothing. It absolutely should have just been whoever you pick to save. You know, their vote, they don't vote. So at least there's something that matters. Or it should just be you pick someone to save, and they don't know until after the vote. Like, just make it a hidden immunity idol. And at least there's something there where it's like, oh, we're hearing America's name being thrown around. Should we save them? I don't know. That at least that is an interesting topic of conversation. But who you save out in public when none of these people are going to be a target to begin with is so useless. And yeah, I totally agree with the fact that they really stretch this out to make it such a thing when I have to believe these people weren't taking like these decision making seriously, and if they were, then maybe it's sort of worthwhile because it creates drama. But the fact that I have to give these people more benefit of the doubt that they're not taking any of these decisions as anything other than just like a useless like have to make power.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that what Michaela ultimately brings up, I mean, query whether she should have brought it up in front of everybody at the deliberation. But when Michaela criticizes Olivia for saying, like, it's crazy that you're picking a new threat woman to save and really cementing that you are working with the rookie women and Theo and Jake, you know, some of the like British men. I think the Rogan interview, I'll never listen to another podcast, so I stopped talking about this, but like Rogan, at least, you know, talking to Bananas, and everything is game, so I don't necessarily believe what Rogan tells Bananas because he's looking at future seasons. Rogan was like, the British alliance was news to me. And like, sure, obviously, like they're like, I knew Jake and I thought he was a good lad and I was hooking up with Izzy, so I liked her. But I'm not close with Theo. We had beef. So like when I kept hearing all of this British alliance, obviously he didn't last long enough in the game to really determine who he'd work with, but he was like, that didn't like speak for my intentions in the game. I think what Olivia does here, like, while it's obvious to us as the viewers, because we're seeing the confessionals, we're seeing the edit, any like shred of cover Olivia could possibly have in saying she's working with the vets, I think is just quite arbitrarily thrown away by them choosing to pick Izzy. So like, I agree that maybe they're not taking it that seriously. It does like inexplicably and unnecessarily draw a line for Olivia. And she tries to get Justin to take ownership and say, I'm doing this so that I can repair a relationship with Izzy. But I think it's a little transparent and it's a little stupid, I think, of Olivia to like make a move like that when the safer decision would probably be to like pick some random vet that you're more aligned with. Mm-hmm. Like Theo's team, for example. Like why she doesn't save Theo under the guise of like, you obviously know we're working together is bizarre.
Yeah, I guess that would certainly be the easy move, just to save your boyfriend. But I still find it hard to believe that it's not clear where Olivia stands. Like, she's openly feuding against Bananas. Bananas makes it abundantly clear where like he's not letting Olivia hide where she stands. And I just think if Olivia saves Michaela, I just feel like maybe it's not in public, but Michaela's having a commercial being like, I don't buy this for a second. She's only saving me to keep her cover. Like, we all know you're working with the UK. Like, I feel like there was no winning there, and that's why it's such a useless power. But I guess if it's creating these circumstances of any sort of interesting development, then sure, I guess it's not completely useless. But I would just rather there be so much more meat on the bone than trying to like weed out like maybe like a 1% impact that these decisions are having.
100%. My first comment is it was a complete waste of time. My sub comment, which is like item Z after that item A, is like, and I think Olivia does flub the 1% of the decision she has to make. Like, she should just pick Theo and then it's Adrian and nobody can say anything about it.
Yeah.
And she could just be like, this is a useless power. I'm not trying to like curry any favor with it. Like, don't be offended.
It is interesting. So this is now like 2 out of 3 weeks. Bananas tries to like concoct a voting plan that goes sideways. Like the first week, he was trying to like get like the Derek's on board to vote with him, and like Derek A didn't go through with it. And now here he tries to come up with a plan in the helps of all of his angels to save America and potentially him from going in. And once again, it goes sideways, and it's surprising considering how much impact the Angels had on him in 40. Like they were basically willing to fall on their swords for him, and here it's like they're not even willing to not vote, like even a throwaway vote, like not even to like not vote for him, just like burn their vote somewhere. Like they're all just voting for him, which it's kind of stunning to see. Now that they know the impact of potentially being the hanging Chad, it was very surprising to see how many people close to Bananas voted against him here.
Yeah, it seemed like I think we get one very quick clip of Aviv, Sydney going to talk to the Bananas Angels or Aviv and kind of say like, we can't vote in America because then Bananas will be the hangnail. And Aviv says like, well, we could stop him next week from actually going in. So I think like perhaps overconfidently or not, his female allies think that they have the votes to just keep him out of the elimination when he's like up for the jury. And, you know, I don't know why, like maybe Tay's made better relationships or they don't want to like pick a fight over 1 degree of separation from actually saving Bananas, you know, and that they'll like get the house together. But I think Leroy makes a really good point when he casts his vote where he's like, you're wrong about being able to keep him out of an elimination. If they put up a 7-time champ, like for a vote against one of these other like non-threats, he's absolutely going to get voted in.
Yeah, and it's not like Banana sees eliminations a lot. Like there's more of an aura of throwing in someone like CT that doesn't happen too often. But when Banana's name gets tossed around, a lot of times he goes into elimination. So the fact that he's just sitting there right on the platform, right on the tee for people to go after him, yeah, there's a very good chance Bananas would be going in. Obviously, it doesn't work out that way. The only thing I could think of also is, did the MRI results leak a little bit? And they're like, well, it doesn't really matter because, Nia's going home. So we can just like keep our cover and like vote for Bananas in America because it doesn't really matter.
Well, what if they were like, since Nia is disqualified, this is now immediately a men's day and Bananas is going to go against Gabe? No, the thing I think is like, I am curious to see if we'll get speculation on how they think the final is going to be run, because if you think that you're going to have to run with a member of your opposite stripe, even if it seems unlikely to work out that way, it does not incentivize the veteran women to have Bananas in the game competing with a rookie woman against them. Like, I don't think anyone thinks that's how the final is necessarily going to be run, because again, it just they'd have to be so lucky for it to work out that way. But it's not as clear as in past seasons where like you want to work with strong men in the final. You kind of maybe don't want strong vet men to be there if you're a vet woman.
Yeah. And also the way, I mean, they kind of talked about it in the daily, but it kind of seems like the strong men are mostly all the newts. Like a lot of the vet men were the ones falling off the wall, calling for help in the water. So yeah, there's people like Bananas and CT there, but like the Derek's, Leroy, like none of these people are looking overly threatening from the male perspective. When you got people like Jeremy, even like Justin, like Gabe, and some like these guys are all seemingly look as they should, like the younger new threats, ready to take over, the people pushing 40 and 50.
I mean, this is one thing I forgot to say, dragging Leroy. At least in the edit, Leroy claims he got halfway up, looked down, and was like, oh, I'm unprepared to jump from higher, so I'm going to choose to jump off the wall. And I'd like them to release the pay structure for these people, because I do think, I love Leroy, but at the point where we're paying people enough to just show up and they have zero hunger to win or compete, such that they will just jump off the wall because it'll be too high, we need to knock them back a few seasons then, or reduce their guaranteed pay, or give them better payment incentives to make the final, because that is one thing I appreciate at this in this more fresh meat season, not only in the game, but I think like on social media, like a lot of these newts are working hard to give the tea, be relevant, be out there. And it reminds me of old school Are You the One, where like they're listening to the podcast about them. It's like Adam on All Stars. Like they're mixing it up. They want to be seen. They want to make an impact. They want to come back. And I like that. I don't think that that's like fake or calculated or whatever the criticism will be around it. Like, I think that's people excited to be here and motivated to come back and make a name for themselves. And we're at the point where some of the veterans are just jumping off the wall because they'd rather not do it. I'd take a Newt any day over that.
It was jarring during Bananas' soliloquy when he talks about how he's the challenge. When he drops, like, in my 25 seasons. Like, that is a preposterous amount of seasons for a reality TV competitor in a single show. Like, that is, could you imagine if we've seen like Boston Rob plays, like, he feels like he's played a lot of Survivor, right? Could you imagine if he's played 5 times as many times? Like, that's an insane amount of times to watch one person on the same show. So I get the point. It's very fair. And yes, maybe he is quote unquote the challenge, but it's also crazy to hear that he's been on 25 seasons.
Well, let's talk about that confrontation. So let's get to the nominations. We talked about Michaela's, speech against Olivia, but I think the Bananas speech. Yes, I totally agree with everything you just said. It was wild. When he said 25, I was like, because I think like we gave Anissa love for this being her 20th season, and that felt like a lot. But when he like dwarfed her 25, here's the thing. It really bothered me that Adrian and Izzy clapped back at him. So I guess if you're not watching the show, Banana stands up when he makes his vote with America and is like, I want to apologize to my partner America, who is only in consideration to be voted in because you guys are trying to like take a hit at me, which I think is, he was kind of voting later in the bunch, but he is making it clear to whoever hasn't voted yet that like a vote for America is a vote against me. I'm understanding that and making it clear. And I'm telling the house, like, I've clocked this. Was it a little bit pick me or whatever, like, focusing on him? Maybe, but it was absolutely true and correct. And It is so annoying. Sorry of Adrian and Izzy, particularly Adrian, who we really just haven't seen do anything on this episode, on the show, except get her partner eliminated for taking her shoes off during a challenge. For her to say, like, this isn't about you, then what is it about? Even Izzy, who tries to give a justification for her vote against America, is just saying, like, this is personal to you. It's not about Bananas. Well, why? Are you threatened by me? Do you want Nia to win and come back in the house? Like, what is, I know Olivia and I are close, so maybe that is the answer. Then say that. But it was absolutely to execute a plan on Bananas and let him say the truth. Like, it was just so stupid to see them fight over that.
I appreciate the delusion though. Like, I feel like we need some like delusional queens out there being like, no, it's not against you. Of course not. It's really just, we hate America. Clip that. But I think that's more, we need these type of people. We need these like more crazy, like, yeah, it's clearly a move against Bananas. It's clearly that even Adrian like scoffed at, I mean, like, oh, I'll pick the challenge, you big bigger than like, or so I don't know what she said, but like when he got scoffed at Bananas calling himself the challenge, it's like we need people to push back. Like, yeah, they're delusionally wrong, but great, that's fun. I want that. Be delusionally wrong.
I didn't have fun. No, I didn't have fun because I felt like they couldn't stand up to him. Like if they pulled out a reason, America's not working with us. I want her gone, and she's the weakest, and Nia can beat her, and I like Nia, but I will come for you later. Like, I just wish they were smarter about it and had like a better rationale. Now maybe it was edited out, but like they were just like, no, and that like pissed me off. Like, no, that's not true. I think what did upset them, what you're talking about, is when Banana said like, you're here because of me. Like, not only am I allowed to pull focus here, but you are only here because of me. And like in a certain way, that's true. It's not Bananas on his own, but like undoubtedly, and Bananas is not my greatest of all time. But I would be remiss if I didn't say you and I weren't sitting here because of Bananas. To a degree. We are sitting here because of a lot of people, both physically, strategically, and entertainment-wise, strong characters on the challenge, some who continue to come back, some don't. And like there is a little bit of like a respect your elders type vibe that I think Bananas was justified in saying here. To your point about the delusion, that's the part that didn't bother me them pushing back on. like the you're so egotistical, we don't need you, because like the show can and will survive without bananas. I believe that. Like but that's the sort of fresh meat energy, the new threat veteran energy, the rivals veteran energy that we've like traded on in the challenge history for season after season. And that we definitely need. Of like, we're the new generation. We'll show you how to do it. Like we don't have to take this lying down. That's fine. For that reason, I wish they did say, yes, this is an attack on you. Taste it. Like, deal with it. That we're the new generation coming for you, Dad. Like, that's what I would like to see. Not like, no, we promise it's not about you, but we're not telling you what it's about.
And then we get that from Leo, basically. He stands up. I don't know what these people are doing. What's in the water that TJ is like feeding them? I thought it was a joke when TJ's like, and if anyone wants to say anything, then we get Michaela giving her speech. We get Leo here being like, we're coming for all you vets. Let's do it. And then everyone's like, I don't know him. Who's he? I don't know who that is. A great moment. Again, more delusional people giving these false, like, I don't, what did Leo think was going to happen? All the rookies were just going to stand up and start chanting down with the vets. Like, what was going to happen at that moment that he was hoping for?
Well, it was so bizarre too, because like I think someone didn't explain the plan to Leo, and he believed Izzy saying this wasn't an attack on bananas, because like Leo standing up saying, rookies rise up, we have to stop doing rookie on rookie violence. It's like, Leo, the point of this vote is to next week put bananas in. So like this is in the conversation of what you're speaking out should happen, and you're participating in it right there. Now what's funny is TJ's like, oh, so you got up, made that speech, and then voted for a rookie? Okay, that's weird. But like again, like that was actioning. Like nobody, I guess maybe Izzy and Adrian were just so believable in their delusion. Like this was absolutely a plan to get bananas out.
Stick to the plan. Come on.
A two-step plan that probably would flop, and ultimately did flop due to MRI.
And then, I mean, it's unbelievable for Olivia. When she broke into 39, she was like the favorite underdog, busted her eye. 40, her likability took a deep turn. I know she with feud. I understand, like, when you get into a relationship with bananas, it could end like your entire existence on television. You spark up a feud with him, all of a sudden you become like, front and center on the poster for the season, and Olivia's putting herself right there. It's unbelievable to watch her evolution here in 41 as being like, I mean, Cara, as great as other competitors are, like Cara, things like that, like Olivia, like the face of this season. And it's so fun to see, especially because like how much her popularity took just like a hard nosedive through 40, and even like in the back half of 39. So it's so fun to see this version of Olivia coming out.
100%. She is accomplishing in like 3 seasons what it took Tori several seasons to do, to finally get to a place where like you have enough friends where you feel comfortable like becoming bananas, like fun rival, like the new Wes, like I think it's really cool to see that role being filled by strategic women. And I think it's really impressive that Olivia has achieved this in so few seasons. I think she deserves it. I think her confrontation with bananas left her looking awesome, where I thought this is where my support of bananas tanked, because he really resorts to like, you can, I don't know, bring a man into 2025, but you can't change his like early aughts of like, you're crazy emotional. You play a crazy emotional game and you poison the whale because you couldn't get over like what I did to you in last season. And she's just like, okay, Johnny, like where I think Johnny comes off unsuccessfully here is like, you can't in one breath in front of everyone say you are the challenge and they're all trying to take a hit at you because you are the face of the show and you're the biggest threat and everybody's coming for you and focused on you. And then on the flip side, blame Olivia for what? Exposing you as a threat, poisoning the well, and making everyone want to attack. If you believe you are coming in with the biggest target on your back, then you can't get mad at someone for aiming at that target. This is absolutely not Olivia's fault that people are considering wanting Johnny out.
And it's these type of moments in this type of season that it goes back to like what the GOAT of the challenge means. But this is where like maybe he is the GOAT, because maybe he's not the best competitor, maybe he's not the best person in elimination or in final, like maybe that's CT or Jordan, but CT is on the season too, and he is like sub character T on the list. Like he is so much like an afterthought. And bananas, once again, love him or hate him, he's always just front and center in the storylines. As whenever he's on a season, he just controls the moment and controls the story, which a lot of people hate. But the fact is, like, CT's on many seasons and he's not really thought of that much. Jordan, same thing. He could be in the background. When Bananas is on a season, refuses to be in the background. He will put his full force into A, trying for himself to do as well as possible, but B, I think he's also always trying to make good television, and he knows like doing this type of feud and stuff like that is good television and creates moments. So that's where it's like maybe he is just the GOAT. I don't know, but like he forces himself into plot A's, which I think matters in like calling himself the challenge.
I think where he differs from CT is he has remained physically consistent. Like, I don't want to drag CT, and CT has been, showing up well in the last few challenges, but like, he does not have the physical target on his back in the way that Bananas continues to in this season. So that's one thing. And two, I actually do think, like, while I agree with you completely, Bananas is absolutely an unnamed producer on the show. He is like excellent at producing television and stays motivated to do that in a way that some of the other vets who are collecting checks and kind of beyond this are not motivated to do. That said, I do think he was legitimately pissed at Olivia. Like, I do think Bananas does a lot of like taking his ball and going home. Why would you target me? It's too soon to target me. And I think he's seeing like a groundswell of like Olivia has a success. Look, Olivia did get him voted in. So his own friends didn't vote him in. He said on his podcast that CT, while he never takes a direct shot at him, will always encourage somebody who's going to take a shot at him to do it and like let it happen. And that's absolutely what happens here. Surprisingly, Aviv lets it happen, right? Anissa lets it happen. So I think he does see like his game is going to be when Banana sees that he's going to have an upward battle on the season. I think he does get pissed. I don't think that this was like solely for television production.
Oh no, totally. And it's the same level of like we want those like delusional rookie queens. Like Bananas has that same delusion himself, and that's what makes him such an entertaining person. Like, he's A, trying to produce things, and then B, when he's pushed into a corner, he has the personality to react like you want someone to create a funny television moment, and he acts on it. He doesn't, just like go off to the side. He will, be the fifth grader, pulling the girl's hair and like calling them like you have cooties. Like he'll just go to like the lowest common denominator fruit of going after someone, which at least creates a moment. And that's what he creates.
One thing when it comes to the vote, I am a bit surprised that we haven't seen more dissension within the teams, particularly as the pairs continue to rotate with the vote. So like, while I thought it was hilarious that D voted for Bananas, and I was like, yes, work, like you belong to no man. I really don't understand the motivation for female nude girls to vote, particularly who are aligned with Bananas and not British, like Sydney and D, what their motivation is to get rid of a Bananas and in America, who is a very beatable nude girl.
Right.
So I know Sydney was like, I had to vote based on Derek, but like, I'll work on saving him next week, whatever. D votes because she's kind of more like lulls. I'm here for vibes. I'm going to vote Bananas in, and it's what CT wants to do. But I think it is like very much not in their best interest. And Nani and Will, what was Nani's vote about? So like there were just a lot of very, very confusing votes that are not only like people I would think would work with Bananas, but people whose best interest in the game would be to vote with Bananas and not against him.
Yeah, and usually when we see this, people being like, "Oh, I'll let my partner choose," it's because like it's the male day, and the female's been like, "Oh, I'll let the male vote. It's a male day. Like I'll go to them," or vice versa. Here, it's a women's day, and all 4 descending votes were women. The one person who stood with Bananas is also a man. Like I know this is the vote to try to make Bananas a hangnail, but this wasn't a men's day. This was a women's day, so it was obviously all the descending votes: Sydney, Nani, Aviv, D, all backtracking on a women's day.
Yeah. I mean, I think I incorrectly said Anissa voted for Bananas. She didn't. She voted for Tay and made up a very funny lie and then said, I don't lie. I don't lie. That's an incredible way to be defensive. It's like, I don't do what I did. And then it's like, what are you supposed to say?
And it's also weird to like go against the house, but like she made up a lie to be against the house, which was, you don't see that every day, honestly. You don't see someone make up a reason to vote against the majority.
Yeah, it was honestly good gameplay out of Nisa. Like, unfortunately, Kara's like, I know that's not true. Although I think Kara has no credibility in the house. Maybe this is when Michaela said Kara has no idea what's going on in the house. Because I thought it was like a pretty believable lie that like Nia would last minute decide she'd rather go against America and Tay. She saw Tay compete against Blue in like an awesome elimination. Maybe she would flip it. And Anissa's like, my hands are tied. And by the time you go to verify it, it's like Nia will be gone due to injury. So I thought it was a good lie on a good half truth on Anissa's
Did
part.
it not?
Okay.
Wasn't it half truth? Because I thought they showed a clip, and Nia was like, "I don't want America." Like, didn't she say that? Am I misreading the clip?
Yeah, I think so Anissa said that Nia said, I want to go against Tay. What she said was, you guys are really gonna like waste an elimination on America. That's so boring. She wasn't like, so give me Tay. I think she was like, make a move. Like she was being like folksy. Like, don't waste it on America.
Is it also
so it was a half truth.
Is it also weird? This is now 3 weeks in. I don't think there's been a burn vote. I feel like every vote has been only between two teams. I think that's very odd for the challenge.
Yeah. True that.
An interesting point. That's all.
Yeah, something to watch. Another thing to watch. One thing before we get, I just looked at the time. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe we've been on this for an hour and 10 minutes. Maybe stuff did happen this episode. But we'd get 1,000 comments, and we already have of people who thought we skipped this. If we did not address the foot blocker sign that Aviv was holding when she talked to Bananas in Sydney. Did you see this?
I don't think I even caught this.
And Olivia. So Aviv and Bananas are talking, and that's when Olivia comes in because Bananas is irritated at Aviv and D. And like it opens with Aviv holding a cardboard sign that someone drew foot blocker with like a drawn foot and an X through it. Never gets explained. like foot locker, foot blocker, and it's like a cop block. I don't understand. But I guess they really needed that clip, but they didn't love the sign.
Some connection to the all the Bananas foot stuff. I guess that's what they're good to. But
maybe Carlo is a prop comic. We just didn't see that part of it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Much like this podcast with the elimination, we went to the arena when there was only 8 minutes left in the episode, and I was like, all right, so Nia is going to go home and be medically eliminated.
Yeah, there's not much suspense when they cut to commercial, and it was like 3 minutes left. Even more so, being like, oh, are we getting to this elimination? I guess it could have been a to be continued, but no, Nia, MRI comes back. No, doesn't really say what it is. That's okay. I guess we don't need to know, but Nia is unfit to continue. So Nia goes home. America gets the win. Do you think, I don't know, we don't get to see this elimination? Kind of a bummer that they seemingly put together a real one. It wasn't one of those, like, again, like the fake ones you mentioned, like with Kara and the soccer player. I can't remember her name, but the bummer we didn't get to see like something funny fake.
Is that not Emily Cook?
Yeah, Cook. Yeah.
So two things. One, it did crack me up that they set up all those logs. Like the poor person. Maybe it was down to the wire on the MRI.
Seriously.
I thought America had the line of the season so far when she goes down with Bananas and she says, like, I watched the show for a long time and he really is as annoying in real life as he seems on the show. That was an incredible line from someone who comes off very nice seeming. Like, as someone who seems mean and is actually kind of nice sometimes, I love when someone who seems nice is actually very mean. That was like an incredible line from America.
It's also funny because it is kind of a lie, because I don't think America has watched this for years. I think she just like binged the entire series in like a few months. So maybe Bananas is even more annoying when you watch him so many times in such a short period of time and not like every once in a while over a long period of time.
I mean, her absorption of the challenge is nothing short of incredible if this is the beginning of when she's watched it. Because she's had a couple times where they've edited her being like when they did the like, why are you here? She was like, I can't believe I'm like in the room with these people. I get to be a CT. So her binge was very successful then.
Yeah, shout out to Corey. I think he did it for her.
That's great. Love it. So you said she's 1-0. And it is interesting that TJ said to Nia, you lose tonight's elimination. I'm very curious if like challenge stats and the like are going to count this as a loss. If she got DQ'd earlier in the episode, it would not have been a loss. I don't think this counts as a loss for Nia. And controversial, I don't think America should get 2 points. Like, I hope someone remind us. I hope I remember. I'm sure I won't. I would be very curious to understand if the way the points are eventually used, if like the ultimate distributed quantity is important, so that they like needed to give these 2 points to someone. But I do not think you should be awarded 2 points for someone DQing. Because
No,
again, if
especially
she was, let's say the MRI came in and then they didn't do an elimination, like, they gonna give everybody 2 points? Who would you have voted in? Then we'll give them 2 points.
No, of course it shouldn't be a win. Of course it shouldn't be a loss. Of course it shouldn't be 2 points. But I think they'll all count in the record books. I don't know. Silly, but it is funny to see America get the win like this.
If she started competing and then had to quit because of her knee or like that's busted chin, then it's a
Totally
loss.
different.
Like, then it's a loss.
100%. Like when Jay was concussed during that battle, that's a loss for sure.
Any like takeaways from the new pairs for next week? I didn't have any reaction to this.
No, I mean, I like that they kind of yada yada it. We'll see if we want to see what happens, we need to be rooting for a vet male to go home. Then we can see how they will handle the stripes. So everyone put together a prayer circle. Let's root for a male vet to go home. Hopefully not Leroy. It's, rooting for Leroy. Maybe not him.
Now that you said it, shit.
But we'll see. Anyone else? I guess the other thing that they kind of touched upon, this is Chekhov's Justin's cockiness. We'll see if that comes back to bite him. I can understand the annoyance. Like the dude wins one elimination, he gets a daily win, and all of a sudden he's like, cream of the crop. Talk that shit. You've earned it, Justin. Good for you. I could definitely see this, coming back to bite him very quickly. The challenge has a way of humbling people.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said on that. One thing is, like, everyone said Leo was going to be a target after that speech. He was picked last, so like it does seem like maybe people weren't trying to touch Leo after he made the whole speech about how the vets, the newts have to rise up. Speaking of newts, do we have a newt of the week? I forgot to even pick somebody.
Yeah, I think I didn't have one in mind, but as we were talking through, I think for me, I know I don't like that he kind of gave away his secret, but I'm going to give the newt of the week to Cedric. I think he's coming across incredibly likable. He's coming across as like a real threat. I think a lot of people want to work with him. He feel like he's integrating himself in the house very well. I think he had the funny confessionals with his buoyancy. So I'm going to give Cedric the newt of the week.
It's a good pick. I don't have anyone better to put in. It's certainly not Gabe. I think Gabe is the undisputed mute, flute, boot, whatever we're calling it.
I would agree.
Week. I think he's getting the definitive 1 week weenie award, whatever.
I think honorable mention also to Leo for his like weird speech about targeting the vets as they were targeting the vets. So you can also give honorable mention. I agree that America's line was very funny. So you want to give an honorable mention to America Want to Know. And with the line of the episode, you can give it to her as well.
I don't co-sign how liberally you are giving these honorable. So when you say if you want to, I don't want to. You can say you're doing that. Yeah, I think much like last week, I think you were too quick to want to give Leo the bad award 2 weeks in a row now. But I think Gabe is like the will. Gabe is the undisputed mute of this week. I saw someone
hyphenate. I think it was MUTE. What were the words that they used to describe?
It's so mean, but it is really funny.
Undo. It was like something hysterical.
I'll pull it up. It's in the comments on the challenge wrap up. While I pull this up, loving everyone mixing it up on Facebook, loving everyone mixing it up in our comments. But like, let's get some subs. Let's get some love in the iTunes, Apple Podcasts and Spotify, Algo. Check us out there. Let us know how you feel there if you like it. The mute proposal was too quick. Oh, most unwatchable or tiresome entertainer. Brutal.
Very good. Very good. Love it.
So I will co-sign the selection of Cedric. He also had a really funny, like, why are you all looking at Jeremy? Don't be distracted by him. Like, we're crushing it. It was very impressive that he got to the puzzle platform before the person assigned to do the puzzle. So it's a light newt, but we'll give it to him.
A light one.
Didn't have to do as much this week, but I'm liking him. You said I'd like him. I do like him.
There you go. All right. I think that's it.
Oh, one thing is like, by the way, for any challenge contestants who want to have their unknown podcast co-host shit on my somewhat known podcast co-hosts, we will fight you in the comments.
Cat fight.
And that is a cat fight. It's all fun. No, I mean, I really will say I do respect how much work Ben is putting in to, bringing buzz around the challenge, bringing energy up to his appearance, like making the social media work for him. Like, he's not getting that much love on the show yet. I think that's actually probably good because when you like start to make a spike, you might go home.
Yeah, well, we'll clock
soon.
it. I'm sure it'll be like episode 7,
Yeah.
and that's when he'll go home. So,
but I if I were on the show, I'd absolutely be doing. I'm not on the show, and I'm doing a podcast. So,
right.
Kudos to the people who appreciate that they're on the show and are working hard around it.
You can subscribe. I think you already mentioned it. RHAP.com/challenge, iTunes, challenge feed. You mentioned leave a review. Follow me on Twitter, Colin Bryan _ TikTok, challenge wrap-ups. Follow you.
Don't follow me anywhere, but you can check out New Girl Old Guy, where we have dropped our part 2 of the penultimate episode, where we failed to discuss the show at all. So we will have a part 3, but in the interim, check out parts 1 and 2. Just me and Akiva kicking it, I guess.
Maybe let's look at the sequel. It's just like as many parts talking about the penultimate episode. That's like your next endeavor. How long can you not talk about an episode?
Yeah, we said that, like, what if that was just like a running bit if we got to the last episode and we just like kept doing just like random talking episodes. We have decided, now that's going to always change, that we will be covering The Paper, the sequel to The Office. As I said, I like the idea of covering a show that will almost certainly be canceled after one season. That feels very attainable to us.
What is this?
We'll see. So there is a like spiritual sequel to The Office called The Paper, starring Alex Edelman, comedian, as like the 5th lead or something. I think Oscar is reprising his role. It's co-created by Greg Daniels, but I don't think anybody else from the actual Office besides Oscar is going to be in it.
Is this a joke or is this like legitimate? This is an April Fool's.
This would be an I don't have the ability to like make up this big of a joke. Like, no, it's. I guess if you like, I really follow Alex Edelman's career, so that's why I'm like everybody knows this. This is
like a Peacock show, NBC show. Like, where is this dropping?
Yeah, it's on Peacock and it airs, I think, September 5th. So we have to do 2 more episodes before September 5th. That's our loose goal, and then like at some point we might talk about The Paper. So if you like that, subscribe to New Girl Old Guy.
Who would be who's the ink and who's the paper? I don't know. I was trying to like who's the New Girl Old Guy? I don't know. I was trying to come up with it. Yeah. It's not there. It's not there yet. It was right off the cuff. Not great. We'll be back next week for episode 4. Until then, have a good one.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.